apparently, according to CIO Dawn Fitzpatrick of the Soros Fund, they are investing in Bitcoin, which is kind of news. Apparently, the family office owns some Bitcoin. And in an interview with the Soros Foundation, the Soros family office, the coins themselves are apparently less interesting than the use case of DeFi and things like that. That was something that I wanted to dig in this piece. Soros traditionally has not really been a big Bitcoin fan. It's kind of a mixed review. I remember, I think it was 2017, he's calling it a tulip bubble and saying like this price is way too inflated, agreeing with a lot of other people on the day. And it's interesting to now for them to turn around and say, well, sure, we got some coins, but the coins aren't interesting. It's, the potential. It's the DeFi. It's things like that. It's like, yeah, that's what people were betting on in 2017, that they were seeing this potential. Like, it's so interesting to see these giant offices who are meant to have their eye on the ball and be seeing new trends and what's going to be, future. And a lot of people were seeing Bitcoin as the future of finance. And this is a tool and, the foundations for this decentralized financial wave that we're now seeing now. And it's interesting that the Soros Family Fund didn't see this at all back then. It was like, this is a bubble. This is completely not a representation of any real value. And now they're turning around. They're like, well, there could be some potential there on the DeFi side. It's like, okay, welcome to the game, Soros. But there's some interesting comments there. We can also dig into some of his other history of things that he said as well. But Will, what are your thoughts on this and Soros getting involved with Bitcoin now?
Yeah, we saw that he had made the 2 investments in NYDIG and Luca earlier this year. And I think that was notable just to talk about like the Soros name and brand is huge in investing, and it put a stamp of approval, not necessarily on cryptocurrency itself, but the firms behind cryptocurrencies, which I think should be kind of segmented. Those are 2 different entities. But the fact that the Soros brand was on those firms just spoke a lot to where the industry was moving. And then holding the coins itself, like you can't speak more of it than that, especially just holding Bitcoin. Of course, we keep seeing like this tagline kind of going around about like we're more interested in DeFi than Bitcoin itself. All the while, Bitcoin is spiking right now, and the Bitcoin economy is growing leaps and bounds. Lightning Network, for instance, has grown a tremendous amount this year, which is kind of the Bitcoiners' answers to a lot of these Ethereum tactics like DeFi or layer 2 solutions that you see on Ethereum. Doesn't mean those things with Ethereum don't matter, but you do see that Bitcoin is surging right now, and other applications on Bitcoin are also doing better than they were previously. So it's interesting to see those comments kind of rolled out again for everyone to see. It reminds me a lot of the blockchain, not Bitcoin comments, even though I think very 2 different camps. Stuff that was like blockchain, not Bitcoin back in 2017, 2018. Those things didn't really stick around at all. I do think DeFi is here to stay for the most part. But I'm seeing a lot of similarities between those 2 comments over the years. Naomi, I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, it's very interesting how we get these news bites and we kind of forget history, things that have happened before. So 2018, Adam Fisher, who oversees the macro investing and the New York-based Soros Fund Management, actually got internal approval to trade cryptos. So this isn't like a new thing. Apparently at the time, it wasn't confirmed that they'd actually made any trades, but apparently, according to internal sources at the time, there was approval there. But it's also interesting that at the start of 2018, they were also buying $150 million worth of shares in Overstock. Now, if you think about what Overstock was doing right, like at that time, they're the first giant company that is accepting Bitcoin at their stores. They're, starting to do this pivot to becoming this full like crypto company. And meanwhile, Soros is buying heavily into that. So there are some interesting signs there that perhaps they were more involved than we realize. But Soros has, he's been very negative on all of this and really focused on the dangers of cryptocurrency rather than the benefits. So Soros had said that, dictators turn to Bitcoin to build investments abroad, and basically kind of said that this is a tool of these dictatorial regimes only. It's not really beneficial to ordinary people. And, it's kind of interesting to me that now they've changed their tune and they're public about owning Bitcoin, maybe they're starting to realize that it's a tool for freedom. Like, this is a neutral tool. Yes, it could be used for bad people. Yes, it could be used for good people. The technology is neutral, and this isn't something to say, well, I don't like Bitcoin because it could be used for bad. It's like, well, it could be used for tremendous good. They're starting to recognize that, especially in the DeFi world. So I think it's always important to keep that balanced view whenever you're discussing any sort of technology. But Zach, I'll throw to you.
Yeah. All right. Mainstream figureheads. I think it's really interesting to see. You know, there is a bit of a phenomenon in the space right now where, you know, people and companies who have established great reputations outside of crypto, like in the traditional economy, sometimes that brand cachet translates into the world of crypto in a way that it shouldn't, right? I'm a mega bank, and I spun up a crypto research unit last week, and I'm producing a report. Doesn't necessarily mean that that report is going to be especially nuanced, spot on, incisive, or to be valued that much. And I think when I see headlines like this, I'm quick to think about that and the lessons that sort of I've seen examples of this over the past years covering this space, where it's like, you know, these new entrants to the market are fascinating, are really important for a lot of things and a lot of people, but sometimes the cachet that they carry elsewhere does not translate to the cachet that they should be granted in the crypto space until they get their feet wet a little bit more. So when I see stuff like this, I think about that, and I don't know if any of that made sense, but that's just what came to mind.
I got you. I followed you.
Yeah,
thanks, Dog.
we're following, Zach.
That was great.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's some insights. That's why you watch the hash.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
For the hot takes.